Hi, Taehyung Lovers all around the world. Welcome back to Taehyung Lovers Worldwide. 3 seconds. Don't scroll. Because February 2026 did not move slowly, it exploded. One judge's gavel struck at the Seoul Central District Court, and what collapsed was not just a legal decision. What collapsed was a perception of stability, of trust, of a giant relationship that had long seemed unshakable. The figure of 25.5 billion won sounds like cold corporate language. But behind that number, there are cracks. There is conflict. There's a private space that suddenly turned into public consumption. And in the middle of that storm, the name Kim Taehyung appeared. A private conversation. A message of empathy. Suddenly read in a courtroom. Legally, perhaps valid. But humanly, this is where the world began to split. Can empathy be misinterpreted as taking sides? Is private space truly still safe in the digital era? This video is not just news. This is about boundaries, about ethics, about how one conversation can shake a global industry. And most importantly, this is about how Kim Taehyung's kindness and sincerity continue to stand firm in the middle of controversy. Watch until the end, because at the end, there's a question that may make you rethink what is really happening. If you care, don't stay silent. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and make it viral so the world always sees Kim Taehyung's kindness, not just a sensation. Now let's begin. February 2026 did not move slowly, it exploded. When the judge's gavel at the Seoul Central District Court struck, and the first instance ruling favored Min Hee-jin over HYBE in the dispute over the exercise of a put option worth approximately 25.5 billion won. What fell was not only a legal decision. What fell was a perception of stability, of trust, of a strategic partnership that had previously seemed unshakable. The number 25.5 billion won sounds like cold, technical, measurable corporate language. Yet behind that number lies the story of a fractured relationship between creative vision and the structure of a giant corporation. A put option is not merely a contract clause. It is an emergency button in a shareholders agreement. And when that button is pressed, the public knows something can no longer be repaired with closed-door meetings or diplomatic statements. 8 days later, on February 21st, a report from Sports Kyungyang intensified the tension. Based on the shareholders' agreement ruling documents, the court considered Min Hee-jin's suspicion, accusing ILLIT of copying NewJeans' concept as a legitimate opinion. In the world of K-pop, concept is identity. It is the artistic DNA that distinguishes one group from another. An accusation of plagiarism is not merely an aesthetic attack. It is a direct blow to credibility. And the public is never neutral when it comes to identity. This is where the case shifted from a business dispute into a national drama, not because of exaggerated emotions, but because K-pop is not merely an industry. It is cultural pride, a global export, and an economic engine. When plagiarism allegations emerge amid a multi-billion won stock conflict, a small spark can turn into a wildfire of opinion. But the real explosion happened when private space was dragged in. The name Kim Taehyung, via BTS, appeared in the court documents. KakaoTalk conversations between him and Min Hee-jin were submitted as part of the evidence. A personal communication space, usually filled with empathy and professional support, was suddenly moved on to a legal table. Imagine that feeling. A message typed in trust. A response born from sympathy. And suddenly, it is read in a courtroom. Legally, evidence is evidence. But humanly, this is a harsh collision between privacy and procedure. In the digital era, every sentence holds the potential to be archived, copied, and exposed. But does every personal message deserve to become public consumption? HYBE moved quickly. In its statement to the media, the company emphasized that the conversation was private communication between V and an acquaintance. It stated that the artist merely expressed a sympathy and did not agree with any specific statements from the other party. The statement was not just clarification. It was offense. Offense attempting to separate the artist from the corporate conflict that was burning intensely. But in the digital space, fences often appear transparent. V himself eventually spoke. He admitted confusion and surprise that his private conversation was used as evidence without consent. He emphasized that he never intended to take sides and only communicated based on empathy within a past professional relationship. His sentence was simple, but its weight was heavy. A global artist known for his music and stage suddenly had to explain his intentions within a legal context. This is where public psychology works at full intensity. Some fans were angry because private space was seen as violated. Others questioned behind-the-scenes dynamics of an industry that had long appeared solid. There were also those who saw this as an inevitable consequence of a major corporate conflict. Social media became a debate arena where opinions collided without pause. This case has now become more than just a stock dispute or plagiarism allegation. It has transformed into a debate about the ethics of using personal communication in legal processes, about whether legality always aligns with morality, about how power and technology can blur the line between private and public. The South Korean entertainment industry faces an uncomfortable reflection. Transparency is important. Accountability is crucial. But when every message can become a document, the sense of safety in communication erodes. In a world connected 24 hours a day, there is no truly silent space. The first instance ruling has been delivered, but this story is not finished. Legal processes may continue. Communication strategies may change. Public narratives may shift. But one fact cannot be erased. February 2026 became a month when one corporate conflict opened a national discussion about privacy, power, and ethical boundaries. And perhaps the sharpest question is not written in the court documents. If empathy can be interpreted as taking sides, do we still dare to speak? If a private message can turn into public evidence, does private space truly still exist? This industry will continue moving. Music will keep being released. Stages will remain lit. But the echo of that judge's gavel is still heard, reminding us that behind a glittering industry, there are dynamics far more complex, more fragile, and more human. February 2026 is not only about who wins or loses. It is about how one conversation can change the direction of the world's conversation. And now we arrive at the quietest point. February 2026 may have recorded its ruling. The judge's gavel has struck. Names have been mentioned. Billions of won have been announced. But one thing is not finished: the way the world sees Kim Taehyung. Because in the middle of the storm of opinions, in the middle of corporate conflict, in the middle of private space, suddenly open to public, one thing remains standing: sincerity, empathy, and character. The question now is no longer who wins or loses. The question is, do we get carried away by the current, or do we choose to see clearly? Taehyung Lovers, the world is always quick to judge. The world is always hungry for sensation. But this channel stands for something different. We do not force. We do not lead. We simply open the facts, open perspectives, and let you think. If you're still watching at this second, it means you care. Thank you for watching until the end. If you like content like this, like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss it when the next fact is revealed. If you don't like it, that's okay. Just skip it. Taehyung Lovers channel never forces anyone to stay. But if you believe that Kim Taehyung's kindness should continue to be seen in the middle of narrative storms, then don't stay silent. Make it viral. Let the world see not only the controversy, but also his heart, because this is not finished. And maybe the next chapter will be far more shocking than we imagine. See you in the next video. Taehyung Lovers all around the world.